A strange thing happens when people start making more money. They assume saving money becomes easier. But for millions of people, the opposite happens. The paycheck gets bigger. The bank account doesn't. Someone earning $3,000 a month feels broke. Someone earning $5,000 a month feels broke. Someone earning $10,000 a month still feels broke. The income changes, the stress remains. And that's because financial success is rarely destroyed by big mistakes. It's usually destroyed by small ones. The extra subscription, the convenience purchase, the upgrade nobody needed, the habit that costs just a little today but quietly costs a fortune over the next decade. What's fascinating is that the habits that actually build wealth aren't exciting. Nobody brags about them. Nobody posts them on Instagram. Nobody gets compliments for doing them. In fact, most of them are painfully boring. But over time, these boring habits can be worth more than a raise, more than a side hustle, and sometimes even more than finding the perfect investment. Because before money can grow, it has to stop disappearing. And the people who become financially secure understand something most people never do. Wealth is often built through habits that look insignificant while they're happening. Today, we're breaking down 14 unsexy habits that save serious money. Not by making life miserable, but by quietly preventing thousands of dollars from slipping through the cracks every year. And some of them are so simple, you'll wonder why almost nobody talks about them. The first habit is creating a delay between wanting something and buying it. This sounds almost too simple to matter, but it may be one of the most powerful financial habits a person can develop. Modern businesses are built around reducing the time between desire and purchase. The moment you feel tempted, they want you checking out. One-click ordering, instant financing, same-day delivery. Everything is designed to eliminate waiting. Because waiting is dangerous for sellers. The longer you wait, the more likely your rational brain gets involved. Researchers studying consumer behavior have repeatedly found that emotional intensity fades with time. Something that feels urgent today often feels completely unnecessary a few days later. That's why many financially successful people have a personal waiting rule. For smaller purchases, maybe they wait 24 hours. For larger purchases, maybe a week. For expensive purchases, perhaps a month. The goal isn't deprivation. The goal is separating genuine value from temporary excitement. And what most people discover is surprising. Many of the things they thought they desperately wanted disappear from their minds entirely after a few days. The money stays in their account. The happiness they expected from the purchase never turns out to be necessary. The real problem begins when people confuse excitement with importance. Those are rarely the same thing. The second habit is learning to enjoy things fully before replacing them. One of the most expensive beliefs in modern society is the idea that newer automatically means better. A phone still works perfectly. A laptop still handles every task. A car still gets from one place to another. A sofa still serves its purpose. Yet many people replace functional items long before replacement becomes necessary. Not because of utility, because of novelty. Behavioral economists often talk about adaptation. Humans quickly become accustomed to improvements. The excitement of ownership fades. The object becomes normal. Then a newer version appears. And suddenly the old one feels inadequate, despite functioning exactly the same way it did yesterday. Financially successful people often resist this cycle. They extract maximum value from what they already own. Not because they're cheap, because they understand a simple principle. The longer an item remains useful, the lower its effective cost becomes. Every extra year of use dramatically improves the value received from the original purchase. This mindset doesn't just save money. It changes your relationship with consumption itself. Instead of constantly chasing upgrades, you start appreciating utility. And appreciation is far less expensive than replacement. The third habit is questioning convenience. Convenience is wonderful, but convenience is rarely free. Food delivered to your door costs more. Groceries prepared for you cost more. Transportation arranged instantly costs more. Financial services simplified for you cost more. The question isn't whether convenience has value. It absolutely does. The question is whether the convenience is worth the price being paid. Many people spend money automatically without evaluating this trade-off. They become accustomed to paying premiums for saved effort, and over time those premiums accumulate into thousands of dollars. What's interesting is that wealthy people are often selective about convenience. They pay for convenience that genuinely improves life, but they avoid convenience that simply turns minor tasks into recurring expenses. That distinction matters more than most people realize. The fourth habit is tracking spending without obsessing over it. Many people avoid tracking their expenses because they assume it will feel restrictive. In reality, ignorance is usually far more restrictive than awareness. Imagine driving a car with no dashboard, no fuel gauge, no speedometer, no warning lights. You would be operating blindly. Yet millions of people manage money exactly this way. They know approximately what they earn, but they have little idea where the money actually goes. And that's where financial leaks thrive. A forgotten subscription, frequent impulse purchases, recurring fees, small transactions repeated hundreds of times. None of these feel significant individually. Together, they become substantial. The simple act of tracking spending creates awareness, and awareness often changes behavior automatically. People frequently discover that their biggest financial problem isn't low income, it's unconscious spending. The fifth habit is refusing to upgrade lifestyle every time income increases. This is one of the most important wealth-building behaviors in existence because lifestyle inflation is incredibly sneaky. Nobody wakes up and decides to spend all their future raises. It happens gradually. Income rises, spending rises. Income rises again, spending rises again. Years pass. The person earns dramatically more than before, yet financial progress remains minimal. The fascinating part is that lifestyle inflation often feels reasonable. Each upgrade seems small. A slightly nicer apartment, a slightly nicer car, a slightly nicer vacation, a slightly nicer wardrobe. Nothing appears excessive. But collectively, these decisions absorb income that could have been invested, saved, or used to create future freedom. People often think wealth comes from earning more. In reality, wealth frequently comes from preserving the gap between what you earn and what you spend. And that gap is where financial freedom begins. The sixth habit is buying fewer things, but buying them intentionally. Cheap purchases aren't always economical. Expensive purchases aren't always wasteful. The true question is value. A thoughtfully chosen item that lasts years may cost less than repeatedly replacing lower quality alternatives. This habit requires patience. Instead of buying immediately, you research, you compare, you evaluate, you wait. The process is boring, but boredom often produces better financial outcomes than impulse. And that's a theme you'll notice throughout this entire video. The habits that save the most money usually aren't exciting. They're thoughtful. The seventh habit is making financial decisions based on future satisfaction rather than current emotion. Most spending decisions happen in emotional states. Excitement, stress, boredom, frustration, celebration. Retailers understand this extremely well. Marketing rarely targets logic. It targets feelings. The challenge is that emotions are temporary. Financial consequences are not. A useful question financially successful people often ask is simple. Will this still matter to me 6 months from now? If the answer is no, the purchase deserves additional scrutiny, because temporary emotions create many permanent expenses. The eighth habit is learning to enjoy status-neutral choices. This habit may be one of the most psychologically difficult. Humans are social creatures. We compare ourselves constantly. What we drive, what we wear, where we live, what we own, how we appear. The problem is that status competition has no finish line. There will always be someone with more, someone newer, someone bigger, someone better. Financially secure people often become comfortable making choices that don't impress others. And that's a superpower. Because once you stop buying things primarily for social approval, enormous amounts of money remain available for goals that actually matter. The ninth habit is treating recurring expenses as seriously as large purchases. People negotiate aggressively on a major purchase, then ignore monthly expenses for years. But recurring costs are often more dangerous. Because they repeat, a small monthly expense can quietly consume thousands of dollars over time. Streaming services, memberships, subscriptions, insurance plans, phone plans, software services. Many people spend hours comparing a one-time purchase while ignoring recurring expenses that have far greater long-term impact. The math isn't exciting, but it is powerful. The 10th habit is becoming comfortable saying no to yourself. This sounds simple. It's not. Modern culture encourages immediate gratification. Want it? Buy it. See it? Order it. Think about it? Finance it. Yet every financial goal requires trade-offs. Every dollar spent today becomes a dollar unavailable tomorrow. Financially successful people aren't perfect. They simply become better at recognizing this reality. They understand that every yes contains a hidden no. Choosing one thing means giving up another. And that awareness improves decision-making dramatically. The 11th habit is maintaining a financial buffer. Many people view savings as idle money, but a financial buffer provides something extremely valuable. Options. When unexpected expenses appear, savings prevent panic. When opportunities appear, savings create flexibility. When life becomes uncertain, savings create stability. The value isn't just financial, it's psychological. A buffer reduces stress, and lower stress often leads to better financial decisions. The 12th habit is avoiding purchases designed primarily to signal success. This is where things become interesting. Many expensive purchases aren't actually purchased for utility. They're purchased for identity. People want to feel successful. They want others to perceive them as successful. And businesses understand this perfectly. But there's a major difference between looking wealthy and becoming wealthy. One consumes resources. The other accumulates resources. The distinction sounds obvious, yet countless people spend years chasing appearances while neglecting actual financial progress. The 13th habit is focusing on ownership cost rather than purchase price. A purchase rarely ends when money leaves your account. Cars require maintenance. Homes require repairs. Devices require upgrades. Subscriptions require renewals. The true cost of ownership is often much larger than the initial transaction. Financially disciplined people evaluate the entire life cycle cost, not just the sticker price, and that perspective frequently changes decisions. The 14th habit is appreciating enough. This may be the least exciting habit on the list, but it might also be the most important, because endless dissatisfaction is expensive. When nothing feels sufficient, consumption becomes a substitute for fulfillment. People chase upgrades, experiences, and purchases, hoping the next thing will finally feel like enough. Yet the feeling rarely lasts. There's always another level, another product, another trend, another upgrade. The cycle continues indefinitely. What many financially successful people eventually discover is that contentment has an extraordinary financial side effect. It reduces the constant pressure to consume, and when consumption slows, wealth has room to grow. The deeper lesson behind all 14 habits isn't really about saving money. It's about attention. Money rarely disappears by accident. It disappears through patterns that go unnoticed. Small decisions, repeated behaviors, automatic reactions. And that's why these habits matter. Not because each one saves a fortune on its own, but because together they transform the way you think about money. Most people spend years searching for the investment that will change their future. Meanwhile, thousands of dollars quietly leak away through habits they never question. The irony is that financial freedom often doesn't begin with earning more. It begins with paying attention. Because wealth is rarely built through dramatic moments. It's built through ordinary decisions repeated consistently over time. The decisions nobody applauds. The habits nobody finds impressive. The behaviors that look boring from the outside. But years later, those boring habits create something extraordinary. Options, security, freedom. And in a world obsessed with looking successful, that may be the most valuable thing money can buy.